Good afternoon, it's Stephen Melville here from Cuplahills Farm on the outskirts of St Andrews, North East Fife in Scotland. Welcome to the Go Rural Lambathon experience. We're delighted to be taking part once again this year and hopefully can give you a nice tour around about Cuplahills Farm and show you all the diversifications we've been getting on with. So a little bit about the farm. It's a 300-acre family farm. I'm the third generation. The farm was acquired in 1926. Believe it or not, it was actually formerly owned by our illustrious leader's family, Caroline Miller, who is, she's the one that's been whipping Scottish agri-tourism into action and is very much in charge of running Go Rural. So the farm used to belong to their family farm, the Smiths, and now we took it on and are making some big changes to it. So I'm just going to turn you around now and take you on a quick tour through our holiday lodges. The lodges, there's 4 holiday lodges here. We started setting up in 2012 and this is part of our diversification plan. So I'll turn you around. So we currently have 4 lodges and we sit on top of a hill that overlooks St Andrews. So this is Coulthard, this is Pitblado, and we have Fraser, and we have Morrison in the end. So just going to take a quick walk through the lodges here. Bit of unashamed promotional advertising here, but farming nowadays means that you often have to diversify to try and keep the pennies rolling in. So if we walk in through here, so this was one of the first lodges that went up, 2012. So we wanted to create a bit of a wow factor, I suppose, when guests arrive. So we walk in here and we've got the combined dining, lounge and kitchen area. We walk out into the decking. Here's Milo in front of us here, our Labrador. Now, Milo loves having guests around. They love having kids around to play with. So as you can see, we have some pretty spectacular views here from the lodges. That spit of land you see out in the sea out there, that is the old course at St Andrews. And St Andrews is actually nestled on the hillside there on the course in the background. So these are our fields in front of us here. Every day there are about 9 or 10 deer grazing out here for guests to see, and there's a couple down there. I don't know if you can see them or not, but they are there, busy grazing away on my spring oats, much to my frustration. But everything has its place. So here's the other lodges. 2 more lodges there, and in front of us here we have a paddock with the play equipment for the goats. So we'll introduce you to the goats in a minute or two. Just take you on a very quick tour through the lodges here. So this is our kitchen diner area. This is one of the 3-bedroom lodges. In fact, they're all 3 bedrooms. So here we are with 1 twin room, and then we have another twin room, plenty of space. A lot of guests, great for families to come and grandparents. Obviously been closed for a long time right now because of COVID, but we're now in our 2nd week of being open. It's great to have our guests back again. There we go. So what we'll do now, we'll just go outside and we'll take a wander up to the farm. We've got some guests in right now, and here they are. It's some of them anyway, just having a quick play on the playground. Now when guests arrive here, the first thing that all the kids do is they go straight on that trampoline. It's got a lovely play park for them right outside the doors. It's a fantastic spot, very quiet. It's just lovely to have guests back in here. So in the background there you can see one of our woodlands. That's a community woodland. We have so many people walking up through here. There's picnic benches up through there. There's regular people up there. And here we can maybe just see in the background the yellow field of oilseed rape starting to come into bloom. It's so cold right now, you can maybe hear the wind whistling around a little bit. But it's particularly cold at this time of year right now. So this is our hay field. This is where we get the hay for the horses, the livery that we have. And we have, you can see in the background there, we've got another woodland up the top. That's one of our 2nd community woodlands called Luckla Wood, and anyone who's been here will recognise the Redstone Quarry, a very distinctive pink quarry stone that is used widely around Fife and actually moved all over the country. strange just because of its unique pink colour, and it's that pink colour that you can see in the driveway here actually. It's a very ornamental stone. I'm going to walk up here, Milo's going to lead the way and we will go and see the goats. So we've got 5 goats that we acquired some time ago, and they're just a great attraction for the guests. It's lovely having a few animals around, but yeah, these guys are a great source of entertainment for everyone. If you look in here we are. These are goats. We've got Mum, which is in the middle there. Hello.
Hello everyone.
Good to see you. You feeding the goat, Sam, are you? So this is Mum in the middle, that's Daisy. And then we've got Derek over here and his sister Poppy. And then the 2 little brown ones here are Lucy and Rebecca. Hello. So yeah, they've got a good life up here. And yeah, it's just lovely having them. Yes? Can I hear?
Milo's going to eat the food.
Milo's going to eat the food, is he? Milo loves a bit of food, he does. Yeah, he thinks he's a goat, I think. Yeah. Good, we'll carry on up the farm and go and show you the rest of what's going on here. So like I say, we had 4 lodges there. They're all named after people that have had some influence in the place. We've got Coulthard, named after a gentleman who helps us out on the farm. Cuplahills is named after one of the joiners. Fraser's named after another good close friend. And then we have Morrison, which is the name of my late father's middle name. Van coming up through, that looks like a delivery van. So we're part of an environmental scheme sponsored by the Scottish Government, and we've been putting in loads and loads of hedges lately. So I think in the last 10 years we've put in about 5 or 6 miles of hedges. So this is the latest hedge we just planted this year with a lot of trees in it as well. So there's a mixture of different types of hedge plant, a nice mixed hedge. So this will grow up big and proud and strong hopefully in the next few years. As part of the environmental scheme we also have grass margins around all of our arable fields, 6-metre grass margins. We've just constructed 7 new ponds. Now that's not one of them, that's just a wet spot because we had 24 hours of torrential rain recently. We've got 2 new ponds down the bottom here that provide new habitats for wildlife. We've got wild bird seed growing in patches all around the farm, which is great for the ground nesting birds and the pheasants, the partridges. We're also in a corn bunting area. Now corn buntings are a species of bird that are very much in decline. We're doing as much as we can to try and help increase the numbers. So we have corn bunting wild bird seed growing, and also some hay that we cut late in the year so that we can try and increase the feeding grounds for them. And you're right here, this is one of the hedges we planted about 9 years ago, so you can see it's growing up particularly well. It's great just to create some new habitats for wildlife. Other things we do as part of the environmental scheme, we've got some species-rated grassland at the back of the farm, which is alive with butterflies, moths, insects, and loads of beautiful colourful flowers and throughout the late summer. It's a great habitat for everyone, for all the wildlife. Now as we're walking up here, just a little bit of history about the place. If you look in the background there, we have Set Hill, and that's part of our habitat mosaic. Now that was known as Hangman's Hill to some people in the past, it had a reputation for being somewhere where people were hung in the old days. Not sure how long ago that was, or how much what people had to do to be hung up there, but it's got a little bit of history anyway. So the driver leaving again. There's a car park where the people at the livery come and park up when they come to see their horses. So on the farm we have diversified quite a lot. So not only are we doing the environmental schemes, but we've got the holiday lodges and we've also got a DIY livery. So yeah, plenty going on. Just different little pockets of income. Farming doesn't always generate the most amount of money from your typical arable sector, but so we've had to diversify as best we can. Now in here, just very briefly show you in here, a pile of malting barley that was meant to be going away for distilling this year, but due to the drop in demand for malting barley last year. It is still in the shed, and it's actually now being used to fuel a local biodigestion plant on a neighbouring farm. So it's actually producing gas that enters into the mains gas network around here. Now our farm here, said it's 300 acres. We've got mainly cereals and oilseeds. So we grow oilseed rape that goes to make oil. We grow spring barley for malting typically, or biofuel as I just said. And this year for the first time we've started to grow some spring oats. Now that will go to make porridge oats, which will be used in the local Quaker porridge oat factory, which many people will have heard of the Quaker porridge oats. So this is the old farmsteading now. Some traditional old buildings here. These are buildings that, as they were built, well, probably could be 200 years ago now. This is the old grain barn. So in the past, the old grain stooks were thrown up in through those doors. There was a thresher inside there, and the grain then got moved along to the left, in behind those windows, and the straw was stored along in behind those big doors there for bedding the cattle. And these old archways here, these housed carts, storage, and we now use one of them as a stable, and one in fact two of them are for stables and one of them just for a bit of storage. And we have this new building here. We just built this about 5 years ago with funding from the Scottish Government. So there's some old buildings here that were falling into pieces, and we just wanted to replace them because they were becoming dangerous and unstable. So when we took the old buildings down, we kept the stone and we reused the stone. I don't know if you can see this here or not, but there's actually an old coat of arms that we've built into it that came from the local castle when it was destroyed. It's not in great nick, but it's there nonetheless and to be preserved. Now this is a Lambathon tour. Now we don't have a big flock. In fact, this is our first real year in about 30 years of actually having anything lambing on the farm. So when I was growing up here, we used to have cattle in these sheds here, and we had sheep housed in the hay shed here and in the top shed. But the sheep went a long time ago when they just weren't particularly profitable, and the cattle went a long time ago as well. And so we've now replaced the cattle sheds with livery stables. I'll just take you on a very quick walk in here and you can see where some of the stables are. So we've got a few stables in here. So this was the old passageway where when I was a boy, I used to push barrows of silage and neeps being turnips, used to push them up and tip them into the trough here. So still there is no shed, but we've just created some stables in it instead. All very bright and colourful with all the horse gear now. So yeah, some different sized stables. And here's where they keep all their feed. It's great to have people around the farm now. Let's say this is just part of our diversification process. So it's a nice regular income, and it's great having the people around to, one, keep an eye on the place, but just have people to talk about. So this is one of our sets of stables, making great use of an old barn. So yeah, now this is not a live video, it's pre-recorded. So the reason we pre-recorded it was because we don't have a big flock of sheep, and because it's a lambing tour, we needed to very much try and do some lambing. So we've been filming the last 2-3 days as our big flock of 4 sheep has been lambing. Now, just going to turn around here. So we pick up on me again now. So we only have 4 sheep. They are Texel Cross Clings. We acquired them last year as pet lambs from our neighbours, our friends who have Ormiston Farm up by Newborough, the Pickards. So the kids wanted some lockdown pet lambs to look after, so we've reared them up, and they've all been put in lamb this year by a tup, hopefully a Shetland tup, and they've been lambing over the last 2 or 3 days in, unfortunately started lambing in some of the worst weather we've seen around here for a long time. It basically rained heavily for 24 hours. And so as we were busy doing bits and pieces of lambing, I've been doing bits of filming. So this isn't live, so therefore we're going to jump on to some of the things we picked up, some of the lambing experience we've had over the last couple of days, and hopefully that'll give you a feel for what it's like to have just 4 ewe lambs lambing. Not a big scale, not like a all our other farming friends who are taking part in the Lambing Live experience. But believe me, the hassle I've had over the last 2 days with 4 ewe lambs and 5 pet lambs is incredible. So I'm just going to walk up here very quickly. So this is the next part of our lambathon tour, a little bit of lamb feeding. So we've got 5 pet lambs that we've acquired from friends, Pickards up at Ormiston Farm. So I'm going to take you into the lamb pen, and it's feeding time at lunchtime. So I'm going to do a quick... And here we are, here's Freddie, one of his small lambs. It's Floppy. And here's some of the other kids. Got some friends here to come and feed some lambs too. So Freya's got a bottle here. She's feeding one of the little lambs. And Coco, do you want to go and put the bucket on the hoop over there? Yeah? That's it?
The back of it needs to go on the hoop.
So see that down a bit? Down. So you put that on there. Yeah, and then let it drop down. And there we go. The lambs can feed away. Freddie, do you want to go and put your little lamb on there as well? And Freya, do you want to let Coco have a shot of sucking? Letting the lamb suck?
Okay, so you have to keep your leg right in and squeeze it. Yeah. Keep the bottle upright. Right there. Yeah.
There's Yulia with one of the pet lambs. What are your kids called, Yulia?
Emma and Ryan.
Emma and Ryan. And have you done lamb feeding before, Emma?
Yes!
Yeah, and Ryan, you've done it as well before? Yeah? So hungry little lambs at lunchtime. But I suppose what we like as farmers is to let the lambs come and do it themselves, like they're sucking away at their mothers. So these guys are about 10 days old, I think. And we've managed to train them onto feeding on the bucket. So that makes life an awful lot simpler. Seeing as they're getting fed 3 times a day, they can just, well, they're down to 3 times a day now, Freya. They can just feed themselves. It's great to see. It's a wonderful sight to see when the lambs get on and suck themselves. But it's always nice to let other people come and have a shot of feeding some lambs as well. Is your lamb eating all its milk yet, Emma? Huh? Has it had it all?
The whole bottle?
Yeah? Do you like, which one do you think is your favourite here?
Number 2.
You like number 2, do you? This one over here. They've all got names, and I think afterwards Freddie and Freya can tell you who they all are. They've got names for them all. So we'll let these guys finish off the drinking for now, and then we can come back and introduce them later on. So here we are with the next update on Lambing Live from Cuplahills Farm. So as I said earlier on, we had our first ewe lamb, which gave birth to a young single. So we were convinced that it was Coco, but it turns out that it wasn't Coco, it was in fact Brutus. Now Brutus is the leader of the 4 ewe lambs that we have on the farm. So this small flock that we have, yeah, it's only made up of 4 sheep. But 4 sheep seem to cause us almost as much hassle as maybe a flock of 100. So today has been a baptism of fire back into the lambing scenario for me. So I'm going to turn you around now with who I thought was Coco. But it turns out Coco is in fact Brutus. Now Brutus is the leader of the flock, and Brutus earlier on gave birth to a very healthy young ewe lamb herself. Now Brutus might not be the most feminine name, but it was because she grew so damn big through the year and so fat, just munching away on all the fresh grass we have under the horse paddocks, that yeah, she was affectionately known as Brutus. So Brutus seems to be being an incredibly good mother. She's very attentive. She's got plenty of milk for the young lamb, and the young lamb is now up away on its feet. So earlier on we saw the lamb suckling for the first time. It's now had its colostrum from mum, and is doing very well. I don't think mum quite knows what to make of being in a horse stable, which is where we are right now. But earlier on the weather turned for the worse. So if I take you outside here quickly, you will see just how bad it has become. And this of course is what you have to put up with in farming. When the weather changes, it can change in style. And yeah, we are now in the middle of a 24-hour deluge of rain, and it is absolutely soaking. So yeah, there's rain running everywhere and it's just freezing cold, and here we are in May. Normally if you lamb late in May, you'd expect better weather, but we're certainly not getting that right now. So I'm going to take up here and say, now the one good thing about all the rain is that all the horses have come in. So here we have some of them in. So they're all in, munching away in their hay tonight. Very happy they are. Here's Shammy. I think Shammy's one of my favourite horses, I have to admit. But yeah, they're all very affectionate, they're all glad to see us. Now, of course, these horses are always here on the farm, and guests are always welcome to come and visit them. And here's Big Dodge. Now, Dodge is a big horse. Come over and say hello, Dodge. Hello. So these guys live up on the hill just behind our steading, and they are the original occupiers of the field where the 4 ewe lambs run, of which Brutus was one of them. So yeah, Dodge is their guardian, I suppose. And it's quite bizarre because as we took Brutus out today, the leader of the flock, and we took out one of the other ewe lambs, which unexpectedly lambed today as well, the horses seem to be a little bit unsettled with losing some of their friends. But they're kind of reunited now, some of them, in the stables here. So these stables here, well, they're stables now. In the past, this was an old cattle byre. So when I was a boy, I used to feed all the cattle in here. So we brought big bales of silage in through the door here and pretty much placed them exactly where this hay bale is. And yeah, we would feed cattle every single day through the winter. So this was part of the trough system, where we would walk up and down the aisle and feed in the trough for the cattle. And in the past, when I was a wee boy, all the straw and hay was stored over in that shed. Still hay shed now, but used rather more for storing hay for feeding to the horses through the year. If we go back through here, this was also another cattle reed. It used to be old stables. This was the original stables where the Clydesdale horses and all were tied up. But now it's a stable for our DIY liveries. So the pet lambs are housed at the top of this shed. And as you can see, they're quite happily running around right now, having a bit of a play and a stretch of their legs. I don't like leaving them in the pen all day, so they just get let out to have a wee run around every now and then. And here's Brutus again, their wee lamb. Now Brutus is being very noisy and just keeps on calling, because I think she's missing all of her friends, because she's the leader of the pack and she's definitely missing them all. Hello Mooney. And walk up here, some of the other horses. I think they're all very glad to be in for the night, out of the rain, because it is truly miserable out there. So if I look in here, you can see the pet lamb pen. So here's the bucket of milk that we've got them trained on to eating from. They had their tea about 10 minutes ago, but they haven't quite finished it all, so we'll no doubt finish that off shortly. So these are 3 of the pet lambs, C, E and F. And here's the 2 friends, L and J. Now J's for Jake. I can't remember what all the names stand for, because the kids have named them and numbered them. Go down the corridor, guys. Go and find your friends. Yeah, so you can still hear Brutus bleating away down here. So I think, yeah, Brutus is going to be fine, our little lamb's going to be fine. And hopefully they can go back outside again tomorrow to join the rest of the flock when the weather clears up a bit. But I mentioned as well that we had another one of our 4 ewe lambs give birth earlier on. So I'm just going to go and show you where they are, because unfortunately we had a hung lamb situation earlier on. So the ewe tried to lamb, but the lamb came out with the head got hung and swole up, and the lamb unfortunately didn't make it. So what we did was we went to a neighbouring farm and we picked up a small pet lamb and we're adopting it onto it. Now this is maybe one of the sides of things that you don't always see on Lambing Live, I don't know, but we had to fashion a very temporary crate where we have the ewe. Now she is held by the head, but that's because we're trying to adopt this young new lamb here onto her. So it's a little bit dark in here, I get that. But yeah, the lamb in here is hopefully going to be adopted by Mum here over the next couple of days. So she is busy calling him Brutus, who's across the road. So Mum here has got her water, her feed, her hay, and she's just held here temporarily so we can try and acclimatise her to getting a new lamb behind her who isn't hers, and she kind of half knows it, maybe doesn't fully know it's not hers, so I think she'll adopt it just fine. Yeah, this is little lamb in here, so he's quite happy. He's got plenty of milk from Mum in there, and yeah, he'll be absolutely fine. He'll be delighted to have a mother rather than being another lamb to be adopted. So as you can see, it is still continuing to pour down with rain here. So yeah, I've got to now go and check these other 2 or 3 lamb ewes that we have outside to make sure they're not giving birth, because they're due any time now. So I'll go and check them, and if they've given birth, we'll maybe try and rush them inside to keep them out this miserable weather, because if they lamb outside tonight in this weather, there's a fair chance that the lambs may freeze and potentially not make it. So we'll do all we can to make sure they're safe and sound. So yeah, I'll maybe give you a wee update in just a second on how the ewe lambs up in the field are doing, which at least they're sheltering. I know where they are, so they're sheltering out of this rain for now. So earlier on I said I was going to try and find where the sheep were hiding out. The ewe lambs are still to give birth, so I wandered up on top of the hill here. Now I thought they were hiding at the back of the hill, being up over there behind the horses and those trees and the silage fields. I thought they were sheltering in there because that's where I left them, and that would have been directly hidden away from the wind. But we've wandered down here and they've moved to probably an even more sensible position in what we call the old house. So this was an old house that used to be on the farm. It was a farm workers' cottage many years ago. Been derelict for a few years now, but you can see the sheep have decided to take refuge in here, all 3 of them. So you'd have to say they're not daft, are they? Because they've come and taken refuge in what must be the most sheltered spot in the entire field. So 2 of these ewe lambs are ours, the one on the left there and the one on the right. The one with the longer tail, she's kind of come to join these guys on a temporary basis. So hopefully these ones, or 2 of them, the one on the left and the right, are in lamb. Coco, we thought that earlier on, is in fact this one here. She's due to give birth any time. I half expect her to give birth tonight. I hope she doesn't, and I hope she waits until tomorrow when the weather cheers up a little bit. But if she does give birth, we'll just have to make sure we can do our very best for her. So as I turn round here, you get a bit of a look in the landscape, but it is miserable. This is a field of our oilseed rape. It's looking particularly unhappy right now. It's not like I'm being battered by a cold northerly wind that at this time of year it should be really warming up, and this should be bursting into full flower. The flower buds are there, just not wanting to come out yet, probably quite wisely so. There's the background there. That used to be one of our old steadings called Cuplahills Steading. It's since been converted into holiday accommodation and a couple of residences. Not owned by us anymore, it was sold off quite a number of years ago now. There's the Quarry Hill in the background, a very, very distinctive landmark around about Melville. Anyone who's come to Melville or who's stayed at holiday lodges will know exactly where we are. So yeah, I'm not going to drag this out too long, but the sheep are safe for now, they're sheltered, and if they do decide to give birth, well, hopefully all will be well. And hopefully when I catch up with you in a few more minutes it will be yeah, a bit brighter. Here we are then. This is ewe lamb number 3 that has just given birth. Now, it was a stinking, rotten, horrible day yesterday. Rained and rained and rained. We are Coco, who we've been expecting a lamb for ages, has finally given birth. Unfortunately, she's chosen to do it in the gorse bushes, and the young lamb keeps on wandering away into the bushes, looking for mum. Now, while mum's quite attentive, she's not very good at leading this lamb away from the gorse bushes. So I'm going to grab it out of here. Lammy. There we go. Fine little ewe lamb, and we're going to take it down here a little bit. Go on in. Go on in. Meh. Take it here for now and see if mum will come out and see it. Just to get it out of the gorse bushes a bit. Go on in. She's just wanting to stay exactly where she was when she gave birth, but she needed to go and see the lamb. Chase her out and take her back down to the lamb, which is shivering quite a lot there because it's cold, so we'll take it in later on when she's had a chance to look at it again and get them nice and warm inside. So that concludes our tour at Cuplahills Farm in St Andrews Country Lodges. I hope you've enjoyed our little tour around the farm and what we do here in North East Fife in Scotland. So just as a summary, I'm going to show you pens that we had to create when the really bad weather came in. Now this is where the sheep pens used to be when I was a boy, so this temporary setup has been created. So this here is Brutus. She lambed just after the rain and her lamb is doing very well. This here is Flo. She has the adopted lamb with the skin on it because her one was unfortunately a hung lamb. Hello. Then we have Coco over in the corner here. Now she's been very noisy. I hope she won't get too noisy, but she's still in the headstalks because she had her lamb in the rain and yeah, she walked away from her lamb. So we're very fortunate. We have a very loving Labrador called Milo who is more than willing to do the licking of the lamb, and the lamb seems to love it. So yeah, I don't suppose this happens too often, but Milo is very attentive to the lamb, and this lamb will go back to mum in a few minutes. Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to bid you farewell. I hope you enjoyed the tour around. Apprentice Lammer Freddy here is just about to head off to school. So yeah, thank you to Go Rural for giving us the opportunity to do this lambing live experience, and hopefully we'll see you next year. Take care. Cheerio. Bye bye.